Fab, thanks so much, Pam. Yep, obviously I've said a wee bit at the start, but if anyone's just popped in the call, thanks so much for having me today. My name is Emma Dobinson, I'm here from Everway, and again, I can't see what you're seeing, so if at any point my slides or my demonstration documents aren't appearing on your screen, please just let us know and I can figure out what on earth is going on, but fingers crossed that does not happen. Today I'm going to go through a session on our Read&Write software. As Pam said, an overview of all of the different versions because it is a bit of a mixed estate, so I'm going to show it across different platforms and really introduce how this tool is going to help you to support every learner. And that part's really, really key. I think at first glance, Read&Write could come across as a tool that is just for your dyslexic learners or just for your autistic learners or these learners who've got quite significant challenges, which it absolutely is. But one thing we say about Read&Write is that it's necessary for some, but it's useful for all. I've mentioned a wee bit earlier on about the classroom. I come from a primary teaching background myself in South Lanarkshire Council, and I've used Read&Write with almost every class that I've had. And the difference it has made, taking you from that situation where you're one member of staff surrounded by 30 kids who all have their hands in the air during a writing lesson, and you can't split yourself into that many people. We truly believe there's a tool within Read&Write for every single child, even if it's just one tool for your children that cope a bit better within the curriculum. But hopefully you'll see that today as we go through the demo. Let's move our slides on. You will get a copy of these slides, but this is my email address here. I am the account manager for the council, so anything at all, technical issues, further resources, support, any question at all, please reach out and I'm always happy to help. The agenda for today, so a bit of an overview of Everway and Read&Write. We're going to look at how it can support in class and in exams. I've not had a chance to fully go through the chat, but I'm aware we might have some secondary colleagues on the call who might be looking at the exam side of things. I'll do a bit of a demo of the key tools across Google Chrome, Windows and iPad. My challenge will be I'll just want to show you everything and I have to stop myself. But what I would love to do is maybe do a sort of deeper dive into each individual platform for you. And if you know that you mostly use Google Chrome in your school, you can attend that and get that really deeper focus on all of the tools within Read&Write. I'm going to show you the bank of resources to support implementation in your classroom. And yes, if I make sure I stick to my time, I'll get all your questions answered on the call. That is my goal. So here at Everway, our mission is to help everyone understand and be understood. The whole idea is that we want to level the playing field in the classroom, break down these barriers to learning and ensure that every child is included in the classroom. And one thing teachers are amazing at is creating inclusive learning environments, and you're only one person. And at times we need to draw on these other tools to make your life easier because it can be extremely challenging, as I know firsthand. This is where Read&Write comes in. So Read&Write has been designed to help every learner read, write and sit exams with confidence. So within Read&Write, they get access to 20 different literacy support tools, including things like text-to-speech, audio dictionaries, picture dictionaries, digital coloured overlays, speech-to-text software, prediction software and so much more. And those literacy tools have been designed to help schools deliver inclusion and meet this diversity of need in the classroom, which does feel like it's getting more and more every year. It's getting increasingly challenging to meet that need. So Read&Write can act like almost an extra body in the room, an extra resource at your disposal to help meet those needs. On this slide here, if I can get my cursor, this is the Google Chrome toolbar. Across platforms, they do all look slightly different, but the functionality is very similar and they contain the same literacy support tools, but I will show you those today. And this backs up what I was saying here. We're available on all platforms, so Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge. We have a Windows desktop application, which would be one of your exam solutions as well, and we're available on iPad too. iPad does function a wee bit differently because it's app-based and keyboard-based, but we'll go through that today. Importantly, Read&Write allows the exam room to become accessible. Read&Write is approved for use as a computer reader and as a replacement for a scribe in SQA exams, which is fantastic. We're able to lock Read&Write down into exam mode that allows the school to restrict the features so that it's only the features that a child is approved to use in the exam will be available within the toolbar. This wee link here in the slides, which again you'll get, takes you to a page on our website that just gives you a wee bit more information about how Everway tools help to line up with the SQA regulations. So feel free to have a wee look at that. This is just a little example of what our Read and Write for Windows exam mode looks like. There's a limited number of tools here. In this scenario, the school has taken control and used their admin access to remove the features that wouldn't be approved for an SQA exam. So in this scenario, you can see that this child has their text-to-speech, they have their screenshot reader in case there's any text within images, they've got their coloured overlay, which is the screen masking tool, and they have talk and type, which is speech to text. So this child in this scenario has been approved for having a reader and a scribe, and they're able to use Read and Write to use that in their exam. Because ultimately we understand the pressure on schools now to have enough readers and enough scribes. It's getting more and more difficult. So if Read and Write becomes part of the normal way of working, children can be able to get that consistent support and use it in exams. In terms of Read and Write for iPad, we'll go through this later, but it's still a complete literacy support tool, but it takes the form of a dedicated writing app where we can pull in text, we can create new writing pieces from scratch, and there's literacy support tools built into that app. But we also have our specialist Read and Write keyboard, which follows a child around on the device anywhere where there's typing input. So if they're labelling a photo, if they are in the Notes app, if they're doing something in Keynote, if they're typing into the browser on the iPad, the support tools within the Read and Write keyboard will be there to help them. Ultimately, this is the last wee point I want to make before I get on to my demo. This is a classroom where Read and Write has been made available to all children. And what I really like about this photo is that they are all using it, but in different ways. And I think what that really showcases is that Read and Write allows teachers to provide this universal design for learning. So understanding that every child learns in a different way. Thankfully, gone can be the days of deciding I want to put this text out to the kids, but I'm going to have to create 4 levels of it because this child is going to struggle or this child will cope really well with it. You can pick your high quality text, but be confident that in the moment, the children can interact with Read and Write and get the scaffolds they need. So it helps with workload, it helps teachers to adapt and be responsive in the moment. And once children know how to use Read and Write, it really empowers them to support themselves on the journey. So as you can see, if this was one of my writing lessons before I had Read and Write, every single hand would have been in the air and I would have been running about like a headless chicken. But here, the kids are using the tools within Read and Write that they need in that moment because they're independent now and they know how to use it. So just wanted to show how it can help with workload as well. But let's get into it. Let's get into the demo. So I'm going to come out of my slides. And again, if you at any point can't see what I'm looking at right now, you should see a document called Habitats and Ecosystems. So a wee thumbs up. Pam, can you see that okay? Yeah.
Yes, I can.
You're
yes.
Okay, fabulous. I'm hoping as well that my audio comes through. Sometimes when we're doing these calls, because my audio is being used for the call, sometimes it doesn't pull through when I'm using text to speech. So sorry in advance if that happens, but fingers crossed we will be okay. So I'm in the classroom. I'm doing a wee lesson on habitats and ecosystems. I've selected my text, my high quality text that I want to give to all the children, but I know there's some kids that are going to struggle in the class and I want them to be able to use the scaffolds within Read and Write that they'll need in the moment to help them engage in the same content as their peers. So I'm actually going to close my toolbar because I want to go through how to access this in Google Chrome first. So what you're looking for is the Read and Write icon, which is the little purple puzzle piece in the top right-hand corner of Google Chrome. Now, it's there invisible just now because I have pinned it to my taskbar. I used to get my class at the start of the year to just go through that wee step, pin it to their taskbar so that anytime they open Google Chrome, it's there and it's waiting ready to go. Anything I show you now for the Google Chrome toolbar will be the same in Microsoft Edge. So I won't cover Microsoft Edge today because the functionality is exactly the same. So you can be assured if you use Microsoft Edge instead, it's this same experience you'll get. So I've got it pinned here, but if it's not there, it will be hiding within the black and white puzzle piece, which is the Google Chrome extensions menu. You can see mine here. I've got it pinned. If I was to unpin it, you'll see it disappear. I can click pin, and you can get the kids to do this, pin it, and it will appear on the taskbar. Just means anytime they go onto their device, it's there and it's ready to go. So I can click on my purple puzzle piece and my Google Chrome toolbar is there and ready to go. So we'll cover a few key features and then we'll move on to another platform, but don't worry, I will cover everything in a future session. But we've got our text here, and for some kids that is going to be extremely overwhelming, lots of information, but still a topic we want them to learn about. So for those who are going to struggle to read this independently, we can use text-to-speech. So I don't need to highlight anything, I can just click in the document where I want it to read aloud and press play.
A community of animals, plants and microorganisms, together with their habitat, is called an ecosystem.
Press and stop when I'm done. Apologies if you didn't hear the audio, but what you will have seen
No, we
is...
could hear it fine, Emily.
Oh, amazing. Fab. Seems to be more so in Google Meet, to be fair, so I'm so glad you were able to hear that. What you will have seen there is that any sentence that's read aloud will show up with our dual colour highlighting. So the sentence will be highlighted in yellow and each individual word that's read aloud will be highlighted in blue. And that's designed to support your dyslexic learners, any learner who would struggle to track the text as it's being read aloud, children who lose their place very easily, and it just reduces that overwhelm, draws their focus into exactly what's being read. Now, I've got that particular voice set up because that's the one I like the best, but any customization we want to make in Read and Write is done in these 3 dots and into the settings. So within speech, I can click a voice that is right for me. Now, we've got all different types of voices with different accents. We do have Scottish voices in there as well. One little difference about some of the voices, if you see a wee cluster of stars next to it, it's an AI enhanced voice. You'll find they're a lot more realistic, a lot more like a real person speaking. Quite a lot of the students prefer them, but hopefully they'll be able to find a voice in there that is right for them. And we can amend this speed so that it's reading at an appropriate pace for your learners. Now, the final wee setting for speech, I have got it unticked to have continuous reading on. That means I am more in control of what sentence is read, when it's read, and how many times I read it, which I do find for some learners is an appropriate thing to have unticked, because we know some children will hear a sentence and maybe need that another few times before they're ready to move on. And if that's the case, I would keep that unticked. But for other learners, if they'd be happy to have the whole thing read out at a quicker pace, you can have continuous reading ticked on. So I'll leave it unticked for now. But just because a child has heard the text aloud doesn't mean they necessarily understand it. And gone are the days where we can really say that sending them straight to a paper dictionary is their inclusive, accessible next step. We know the challenge of that. We're taking them right out from one challenge and pushing them into another. But what we do have is our inbuilt dictionaries, and we've got 2 of them on the toolbar. This open book icon is your more standard dictionary. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to give you the word and the definition, but what it will allow you to do is play those out loud. So for children who would struggle to look up a word and gain that understanding independently, they can listen to the meaning.
Noun. The type of environment in which an organism or group normally lives or occurs.
But we know for some children, seeing a visual is going to get them to that meaning a lot quicker. So we can open our picture dictionary, which is right next to it in the toolbar, drag it across here, and they're going to get that visual to represent that word. So if there's more than one visual available, it will show it. Particularly if there's more than one meaning for a word, you will see the multiple picture representations, and we can actually drag those into the document as well to provide a bit of ongoing support. What I love about these dictionaries is the minute I come across another word I'm not sure of, I just click on it and those dictionaries automatically update. So as your children move through the document, they can get that instant comprehension support without automatically needing to come to an adult all of the time. Okay, so they could stay open the whole time your children are working, but I will close them for now. Moving on, for your children who maybe are dyslexic and need the coloured overlay. Unfortunately, in class I've had kids as young as 8 not want to use a coloured overlay because it makes them look different to their peers, because it's physical, it's out there, it's in front of all their friends, whereas this digital one, it's very contained inside their screen. If someone looks at the back of their screen, it's not immediately obvious they're using one. So for some kids, they do seem to prefer the digital one. and it can be fully customised. So if I pop into the settings, I have the freedom to change these colours to a combination that works for me. I can change how intense the colours are. And importantly, I can make this reading light smaller or bigger. So if I can toggle off too if your kids don't want it. But this way I can focus in on just one sentence at a time. And it works alongside your text-to-speech.
A community of animals, plants and micro.
So I can be using more than one tool at the same time in getting this coloured overlay. So really, really good for those children who find the text moves around in the page or indeed do have dyslexia and would struggle. Moving on as well, just to keep to my time, if you do have learners in your school where English is an additional language, or indeed, like I did one day, have a student arrive in my class at 10 to 9 one day with 0 English, this will be a real lifesaver for you. Our translation has went through a really exciting update recently, where we can now have full page translation. So we can take multiple paragraphs at a time, as long as we set our languages up correctly. So we can start in English, move to another language, or we can flip them round the other way. And the child can listen to the translation in their home language with the dual colour highlighting.
O comunitate de animale, planți și microorganisme.
So they're able to access the same content as their peers and know that they're included in the lesson, they're hearing it in their home language. But what we'll show you now is I've now got some Romanian text here. So all I need to do is to swap these languages around, highlight the Romanian text, and it can be translated into English. So we can move freely between those languages, making that really inclusive for that learner.
If part of an ecosystem is changed.
Again, getting that dual colour highlighting. Okay, also really beneficial if you're sending anything home to families as well, where English might be an additional language. You know, read and write, that is an important thing. Read and write can be accessed at home using the Renfrewshire credentials, but we'll talk about that at the end. So we've had a wee look at translation. Just to stick to my time, I'm going to show you a couple of the writing tools as well, because we've made a bit of a bigger focus on reading. So I'm going to go down and imagine that we're wanting to fill in an answer of what is a habitat. Now we know those children who could verbally tell you the answer to that, they've got loads of information, but when it comes to getting it down onto paper, their working memory isn't quite there, they maybe don't have the writing stamina they need, they maybe do a couple of words and then they lose their train of thought, and it's very frustrating. Our prediction software is built to support those learners. So if I'm going to just scroll up, so I've got lots of room. If I click on prediction here, I have got a list of options that I can choose from to build my sentence. They don't have to use what's in the list, but it's there as a good comfort blanket. It's offering vocabulary they might not have thought of. It's helping them put their sentence together. A wee bonus tip that I always like to share: get them to open their picture dictionary, and when they hover over certain words, they'll get the picture representation, because for some learners that will be a list of words that they struggle to read. So having the visual there can really help. Before I start building my sentence, just to show you in the settings for prediction, I can change the number of results that I get, that the child gets. It goes all the way up to 10 or all the way down to 3. I usually find 7 or 8. I actually recently kept saying 6 or 7 on my sessions, and whenever I did that with kids, I'm sure you can all imagine what the kids instantly did. So now I don't do that anymore. I now say 7 or 8 is the sweet spot. I've been tripped up with that a few times recently. I'm hoping that fad phases out very soon, but I'll have it at 10 just now to show it in its full capacity. But importantly, in here you can tick to read the prediction suggestions when you hover over them. So when the list of words is there, they can be looking at the picture dictionary and hearing what the word is. So with more independence, they can select the word that they want in their sentence. Thanks for bearing with me there for all those wee tips there. So now let's build our sentence. So I might want to say a habitat. Didn't even actually need to type habitat, because prediction has scanned this document and it knows the context of what the document's about. Guaranteed, if it's a blank document, your kids are starting from scratch, the results will be more generic, but the more they type about a topic, the better it'll get. So I'm going to put a habitat is And then I want Anne, and maybe don't need prediction for that. I would like environment, so we'll type a couple of letters. Environment, there we go, we can click it here. In which, and I would like plants. It's suggested and animals. We'll go for can live. Okay, if I want to take it further, I can, but if I wanted to end my sentence, I would do a full stop and it's automatically capitalised, ready for me to continue my sentence. So you can see how that would support as a bit of a comfort blanket. Again, doesn't need to be used for every word, but it's there helping the child along the way. Now, for some learners, and I've had them myself in my class, prediction might still not be enough support. Some children are going to need to just speak to their device and get those thoughts down onto the document so that we can actually capture some evidence of what they're capable of. I remember there would be loads of kids in my class where you would go over and you'd want to verbally hear their sentence and they would say, the volcano was enormous, and you'd say, fabulous, get that down. And when you'd come back, they would have tried to write, the volcano is big. And you say, why? You said a much better piece of vocabulary earlier, why didn't you use it? And the answer's always the same, I didn't know how to write it, or I didn't know how to spell it, so I didn't use it. So in that way, sometimes we're not capturing what that child is fully capable of, and it's very hard for you as a teacher to evidence that they do actually have a really good vocabulary, but their actual writing challenges are holding them back. So what we can do is we can turn on talk and type, so that is our speech to text software, and the microphone will appear, and I'm just going to talk right now and it will start to pick up what I'm saying. Oh, hold on, it's not picking up because I'm on the call. Oh, it did. Fab. So you can have it on. Better practice, obviously, with the kids is saying, say your sentence to yourself, and then when you turn on the mic, then say it. So get them to have a couple of practices. If it is a noisy classroom, a wee pair of headphones that get the wee attached mic helps to isolate their voice, because I know it's very difficult to get a quiet space. And actually, do we really want to always have to send them out anytime they're getting support? We want them included in the class, so a wee microphone headset works nicely. So that's picked me up just as I've been naturally speaking. So when they're ready for their sentence, click the mic, speak, and it will dictate their ideas onto the paper. And now I'm going to do the really hard job of cutting it there for Google Chrome and moving on, even though there's so much more I could show you. But if I'm going to stick to my time, I need to move on. But I would love to do a Google Chrome session where I go into all of the tools and show you the more intricacies of it. But hopefully you've seen there how when you're working within Google Chrome, this could be really useful. One thing I will point out is that it does work in web pages too. So I'm on Natural Geographic Kids here. I can load my toolbar. And I've got all these tools available. I've got my text to speech, I've got my screen masking, I've got my translation built in. You do get a nice wee extra tool of Simplify Page, which what that's going to do, I'll show you on this really good website before I move on. The reason I'm saying really good website is because it's cluttered, it's covered in ads, it's covered in distractions. It's the exact kind of website that would derail your kids' internet research. So if I open my Read and Write toolbar, I just want to show you that bonus tool that's just for web articles. If I click Simplify Page, Wi-Fi permitting, because I'm also using it for the call, but it's going to push that article into a new tab, strip away all those distractions, all these things that are going to take your kids to other places. What's this pop-up? Why is that in the way? All these confusing things, and get them to the simplified information. We can customize that further, but for time and purposes, I'll move on just now, but just wanted you to know about the bonus tool, Simplify, that you get when you're on a web article. Okie dokie, so I'm going to minimize that just now, and I'm now in a Word document version of that same habitats and ecosystems document. I just want to show you that the desktop, so the Windows desktop application, looks a wee bit different, but it's got very similar functionality. So this time on your device, you would be searching for Read and Write. And Pam, you can correct me if I'm wrong with how this will appear on the Windows devices, but you should be able to search for it. So you're searching your system, Read and Write will be there. When you open it, we'll see how our toolbar appears in a wee second.
Just while that's
You
loading
just-
them, I'll just say, so we have pushed this out to all of our Windows devices as well, but we do need your help. If it's not appeared or it's not there and you can't see it, please come back to us and let us know, and then we can follow that up with ICT to see whether it's maybe not been pushed to your device for whatever reason, but it should be there when you search for it. So if it isn't, please pop it in the chat now if you're on your own device. If you find out, then if you log a call with ICT, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Fab, there's one wee school there, I think, saying not devices, no worries. Well, if there's anything on our end stopping that, we can let us know, but we can go through all those deployment steps and we'll get it for you. Don't you worry.
Yeah, not to worry, Alison, we'll be on it.
Fab. Fabulous. So I've got my Read and Write for Windows desktop toolbar open, and again it does visually look a wee bit different, but actually when you look at it closely, you've got your text to speech, you've got your screen mask, which is going to load in a wee second. So you've got your screen mask as well, which is again applying it to the entire screen. We've got our translate. Just certain tools work just a wee bit differently, but you do still have that same functionality. So for example, even our translate, it still works very similarly. If I pop into settings for translator, I've actually got it set up to translate from Romanian to English. So if I go down to my Romanian text again, I'm just highlighting it like I did in Google Chrome. I'm going up to my translator. Now this is opening on a tab on my other screen, but I'm going to pull it over so you can see it. It just opens it in a new tab like this, but it can be played out loud.
If one part of an ecosystem is changed, this can affect other. If one part of an...
Okay, you can play that as many times as you need to. So very similar functionality. The key thing I want to focus on when looking at a Windows toolbar, I won't go through the same tools as Google Chrome because they're all very similar, but I want to show you exam mode because this would be one of your key options if you are looking to support learners in exams with Read and Write. So currently you've got the whole Windows toolbar available to you for day-to-day use. So this would be kind of the normal way of working for your learners. But if I go into settings, we have the option to lock Read and Write for Windows down into exam mode and restrict those features. Now, this is an area the children will not know about because only staff can do this, or staff will know about this. So you type in admin settings. The first time you do this, it will ask you to create a password. So whether this is your SQA coordinator, your exams lead, whoever happens to do that in the school, will set up a simple password. In good practice, I know this sounds so obvious, but we've had situations where only one person has known the password and then have been off sick, uncontactable on the day. It's really good practice to maybe have 3 or 4 staff involved in exams that all know the password, just in case something happens in the day and the person that made the password isn't available. So mine is really simple. It's exams, and that pushes us into this hidden menu that the kids can't naturally access. Now I can toggle on exam mode for the current user, but I'm going to check first what features I am giving them. So I'm making sure things like spell check is turned off unless that happened to be approved for a learner. I'm making sure that my dictionaries are turned off. Anything that's got a purple circle is turned on in exam mode. So I've got text to speech tools, I've got my screenshot reader, my coloured overlay, PDF reader, which is how you pull your PDF exam paper into Read and Write for Windows. And I've got my highlighters because as far as I'm aware, you're allowed highlighters physically, so there shouldn't really be an issue with having them in the exam. I'm happy it's only the approved features, so you'll notice my toolbar when I toggle this on is going to majorly reduce down. Toggle on and I've only got my approved features. I can use advanced exam mode to push it out to multiple users at the one time, but I'm better covering that in a more focused session another time. So I'm actually just going to move this document out of the way. I could easily click on PDF reader, pull in my exam paper. It's going to pull that in for me here. I've got click to speak available. I can press on the text.
I am not one to hold a prejudice against any animal, but
press and stop when I've heard the text. I can apply my screen mask to the exam paper. I can use text to speech. One feature I didn't put on was my talk and type, but you could also have that enabled if they're approved for a scribe. Okay, so that is our Read and Write for Windows solution. So it's very similar to Read and Write for Google Chrome. It's got the same tools within it. It just looks a bit different, but this one we can put into exam mode. To turn exam mode back off, I'm typing in admin settings again, putting back in my password, and then when I toggle it off, my toolbar's back to normal. Simple as that. Okay, so that is our Read and Write for Windows desktop application, if that's most appropriate for your school. So now I'm going to have to leave the call to then come back into the call with my iPad. So please bear with me. I'll do that as quick as I humanly can. I tried to come in with my iPad as well, but I was getting sound from all over the shop. So if you bear with me for a couple of minutes, I'll pop back in and we'll look at Read and Write for iPad. Thank you. Be 2 wee minutes.
I'm just going to take a couple of questions popped in the chat. So while you're leaving, I'll deal with them. Yes, the exam mode is on Windows, and I'm going to pick up the question around on your Chromebooks. So if you have Chromebooks, you should be able to add the extension just as Emma showed you there at the beginning. So it is a listed extension and it is toggled on. We have had a couple of people who have said it wasn't switched on, so we've been working with Education Scotland and the Glow team just to make sure that it is toggled on. So as you can see, Ross popped in the chat, if there was an issue and you couldn't see it, if you contact CSBit at renfreshire.gov.uk, then we will pick it up from there so that those pupils that are on the Chromebooks can make sure it's turned on. It should be, but we've had the odd strange thing where it's not pulled through. Go on,
just in terms of the if you are logging a call with CSBit, if you could even give us an example of any of the pupils or their usernames for anyone that isn't working with, and I can get that back to Glow. As far as I'm aware, it's switched on for everyone, so it should work. It might be a case that the extension's just not been switched on your device, but any additional information or screenshots you can get, it just means that we can get a quicker answer back from RM. So that'd be great if you're emailing just to drop in any screenshots or usernames.
Yeah, that's really helpful, as we have obviously tested it as pupils and it looks to us like it's working, but if there's anything on any particular device that you find that it's not working, then let's go back to that. I've just taken when I've used the speech to text tool before, the children have tried to listen back to what they wrote and it read it back segments when I didn't. This would then be read back like this is. Any suggestions on how to stop that happening? Not quite sure what the issue. I'm not really understanding that. Sorry, Miss Barrett. Could you maybe explain it a bit more? Sorry, hate putting folk on the spot like that. If you just pop your mic on and it doesn't.
Oh yeah, sorry. So it reads it back. So if they wrote this, it would read back like to is.
Oh.
Okay. And it's not always. It's just sometimes. And I don't know if they go back and edit it or I don't really know. I can't really find a way around it. So I just thought I would ask.
I definitely think that's, I've not heard that being an issue. Emma, have you heard that? I can see you're back with us now.
It's a bit of a strange one. Can I just clarify, because I missed the wee start of the question, sorry. Do you mean as they're typing, or is it just in a sentence that's been read and it's nothing to do with them typing?
So if they've used the text to speech, so say they're like writing this as a house, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then they've said they've pressed the microphone and they've said this is a house, and then they've maybe edited it, maybe it's come up wrong, so they've changed it, like, but physically instead of verbally, then they've listened to it back and it comes back kind of like, not all the words, but some of the words broken up.
Oh, interesting. I'm just, sorry, I realise I'm looking away from my camera. I'm just noting it down in my document, just to ask if it's maybe a wee bug or something, or is it like Wi-Fi related? I've not really heard of that before, to be honest, but okay. I will look into it and figure out what is going on there. Are you able to just so I can email you back directly about it once I've kind of investigated it, or Pam, is it best to come back to you? I'm happy to
Yeah,
do
if you come
whichever.
back to me and then we
That's
can
fine.
get that information sent out. I've got,
That's fine.
Thank you.
I keep calling you Ms. Barrett, but it's Lee, isn't
Leanne.
it? Is it Leanne?
Yeah.
Leanne. There we go.
Thanks.
I've got her email and
No
everything.
worries.
All right, sorry. Right, let's go on. We've taken the questions.
No
and we'll come
worries.
back to the questions because I know Emma's had to switch devices. So let's do the iPads now.
No worries. Fabulous. Yep, here we go. So again, I'm going to attempt to share my screen with audio. Start broadcast. And here we go. So again, at any point, just let me know if what's on my screen you cannot see. So we've got my iPad screen just now. This is where it differs a wee bit to Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and your Windows desktop toolbar, because this is made up of, by the way, this is my wee cursor. If you see us flying about, it's just to help show you a wee bit what I'm doing. It's made up of our Read and Write app, but it's also made up of our specialist keyboard. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do before I even come into my app, you will get the instructions on how to do this, and your kids will need to do this. But I've got all the instructions for you. I need to go into my settings and enable my keyboard. So I go to General, then down to Keyboard. So don't worry about taking notes for this, you will get the instructions. I go into Keyboards. Now, my Read and Write keyboard is already there because I've already enabled it. But if you click Add New Keyboard, Read and Write tends to sit here in this wee gap. So they would click on Read and Write, press it again, and this is the important part, they must toggle on Allow Full Access. So that means that you can switch from the Apple keyboard to our literacy support Read and Write keyboard, so it's there anywhere you go on the device. But you'll get those instructions, don't worry. So let's open the app so that we are ready to go. So this is how it looks. This is your dashboard. So you can do lots of different things here. You can start a blank new document. You can scan in files, or you can import. So import is one of the most popular here. When I click on import, you get the opportunity to connect your Google Drive, your OneDrive, Dropbox, or indeed pull in any text from a local file that you have. So that is the option that I'm going to do just now. So I'm going to pull in this wee, you can see I was at Bet last week. I don't think the bags under my eyes from it are going to be gone anytime soon, but we survived it. So we'll open our Bet document here, the one we used on the demo. So it's a wee document about how our rivers formed. So the important thing about Read and Write is that it's been designed for those children who would maybe look at a PDF I'll actually show you what the PDF starts like. So this is my files. So I should have showed you at first. This is the PDF to begin with. We've got a kind of diagram here. We've got this text. We've got lots of boxes and things that we can't really do anything with to make it accessible. But if I go back into Read and Write, what we've been able to do is strip away that formatting for those children that get a bit overwhelmed, it's a bit too much, and we just want them to be able to understand the information there and potentially add to it if we want to. So the very first thing I'm going to do, there'll be some children that again need that coloured overlay, where this white background and black text is not going to be that suitable for them. So what we can do is we can go up to our AA. Now this is within the Read and Write app. I can change the font, whether it's bold, the spacing, but the one I want to draw your attention to is the background colour. So maybe we have a yellow coloured overlay, or a kind of green one, kind of cyan colour. Something that works best for your learners, and that way it's easier to access that text. Now, if I click into the document, you'll notice that now my specialist Read and Write keyboard has jumped in. You won't see that initially. I'm just going down to this wee world, pressing and holding. You will be used to seeing the Apple keyboard just like this. But what we want to do, you've toggled on access in the settings. So now, whenever your kids are ready to use it, we want to press and hold that world and make sure we select Read and Write. Now, I've made some extra customizations to my keyboard. I have added Open Dyslexic font to it, and I've highlighted the vowels, and that's there to help your kids navigate the keyboard that bit easier. And I can do that by going up to my three dots in the app, into settings, into keyboard settings, and then just toggle on your vowels and your open dyslexic font. Your kids might not want that, but a lot of them tend to want it, I find, whenever we do our workshops. So it's just to draw your attention to how you can customize that to make it even more helpful for your learners. So I want to hear the text aloud. Now, again, I might have an issue with audio. Apologies in advance if I do, but we will give it a go. Within the app, I can press play to listen to that text. I do also have play on my keyboard, so if I was listening to text somewhere else on the device that wasn't in the app, I could use that play button to listen, but I'll use the app one for now.
Rivers usually begin in upland areas. When rain falls on high ground
and you can see there is the dual colour highlighting there. I've got it set up for a cyan background, which is why you can't see it. So if I was to change my background colour to yellow, and I play that again,
rivers usually begin in upland areas. When rain falls on high ground,
you can see that dual colour highlighting, just like in Google Chrome, helping them to track what is being read. Again, coming back into my keyboard, just because children have heard the text, as we know, they're going to need that comprehension support at times. So you have extra support tools built in to your keyboard. By expanding these 3 dots, you get a wee extra toolbar here. We have settings, we have dictionary, we have check it to support with spelling, and we have translation as well. So I've got my cursor at the end of meander. So I'm going to go down to the dictionary tool here, and it's going to give me the definition and a picture representation. Now if I click play,
meander,
it's going to read it
noun,
aloud.
an aimless amble on a winding course. Noun, a bend or curve, as in a stream or river.
So if there's more than one definition, it will provide that, but you've got your visual to help give that context. And again, if I was to click on another word, like at the end of erode, it's going to automatically update, just like in Google Chrome. That can be played aloud. And then again, I could go down to something like canyons, and you're going to get that updated comprehension support when they need it. If I want to pop back out of that area, this wee back to keyboard button is there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at the translation. So if I pop over to settings first, I want to ensure, scrolling down to the bottom, I've got my language set up. I seem to have Romanian set up in this as well. We'll just stick with that. That's totally fine. So once I'm at the end of a word, my cursor is flashing. You can double tap and highlight the word, but I personally find it a wee bit easier just to put my cursor on the end of it. Pressing on this translate button, what I'm going to get is I'm going to get the English that I can play.
Canyons.
And the Romanian I can play.
Canioane.
And I can listen to that as many times as I need to. And again, I could go down to another word and it's going to give me that inbuilt translation of those words. Okie dokie. Now, on the writing side of things, so just to give myself a nice, fresh, clear page, I'm going to come back out. Now that has saved there, the document that I was using. I'm going to create a brand new document down here. Nice fresh page. So if your children are starting a new writing piece from scratch, they can tap into it and they've got the Read&Write keyboard there to support them. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to type a sentence that in this instance the child is kind of confident enough to give the sentence a go, but we want to go back and sort the spelling. So I'm going to type it just now. Okay, so they've said, how are rivers formed as their title. Now at this point, now straight away you can actually see my prediction bars trying to help me along the way, but I'm going to draw your attention to another tool. If I expand my keyboard toolbar again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Check It, which is our inbuilt spell checker in the keyboard. If I click Check It, it's going to scan the document, and anything that's not quite right, it will give you a wee purple underline and a sort of pale red highlight. Now over here we have a list of options to choose from, but again, for a child with a significant reading barrier, it's just a list of words. But what we can do is long press on the options.
Rivers.
Hopefully you heard that. That says rivers. And if they heard that and think, yep, it was rivers I was trying to say, just a short normal tap, and you can see it's made the change over here. Then we're on to formed. It wasn't quite right, so we can go over and long press.
Form.
Form, no, wasn't what I wanted.
Formed.
Formed. I can press on that one and it's updated, and then it will scan the rest of the document to make sure there was no other mistakes. It'll pop up and say spell check complete, and then I know I'm quite happy with what I've typed there, and then I can continue. But I'm now going to imagine that I've maybe not quite got that confidence or writing stamina that child had, you know, just to give the sentence a go. I'm maybe a bit more anxious, a wee bit more unsure about what I'm doing. So I'm just going to type kind of one word at a time, giving it a wee go and just seeing how I get on. So this time I'm going to type small, and I've given that a wee go. Now it says sum here because it's recognised that I've got 3 of the letters from sum, and that might be what I meant. I've got a picture from the picture dictionary, but importantly I can long press again.
Sum.
So that said sum. No, not what I wanted. Long press on this one and look at the visual.
Small.
Small. Tap to insert, and it's made the change up here in my document for me. Okay, so I'm going to go small rivers are... So usually, again, sometimes even a wacky spelling, we've got usually down here.
Usually.
Usually, I can tap and make that change. So if there's a visual on the within the picture dictionary, it will appear in the prediction bar there for you. Okay. The last wee bit, because I'm aware I want to leave time to show you the resources and questions. Again, there's more I could show you with this and go a wee bit deeper and spend a bit more time on it. But for the purposes of our time today, it's a wee bit of an overview. I just want to show you that we can come out of this Read and Write app, this dedicated writing space, and that specialist keyboard will still provide the support across the device. So if I popped into, say, the Notes app, okay, and I'm in this particular document, I might want to start typing when magma rises. Okay, so again, I've not spelt it quite correctly.
Raises.
Raises, no.
Rises.
Rises. I can put that in, and it's made that change for me. To the surface. Oh, didn't even spell my mistake correctly. Oh dear. To the surface. Again, giving it a go. As long as the kids are giving it a go, it will try to predict.
Surface.
They can hear surface, press to insert. So as long as the kids are trying and attempting it, then that will be totally fine. Now the last wee tool, now this guaranteed will not work on the call anytime I do it. Because I'm using the mic for the call, this will not let me do this. But if your kids are used to using that speech to text, they can tap on the mic, which is built into the keyboard, and they've got that dictation option as well. Alrighty. So what I'm going to do just now, fingers crossed, is I'm going to see if I can... I'm probably better popping my laptop back in so that I can get back onto my slides. So I'll be 2 wee minutes. If you bear with me, I'll pop my laptop back on.
No worries, Emma. Just seeing if there's anything else in the chat that we've missed out. Yeah, so we've got an authority license, just to remind you, so it's accessible for all. So everybody can get it. So if you have any problems with any devices, as Emma said at the beginning, we're going to be running specific sessions on each of the devices. Tonight's session is just an overview. So hopefully that answers that question. There we go.
I'm back. Thank you for all the popping in and out. Let me reshare this screen. You've all been so patient while I move back forward. But back onto my slides, just to show you the kind of next steps. Now, obviously, the first protocol is making sure if you're using Windows, the desktop application is there, you're seeing the extension, everything's working the way it should. If there's any technical issues, you naturally let us know. But if you know that everything's there and you want to get started in the classroom, I have put into the slides, let me hide that just now, this link here, which takes you right to my Read and Write resources document that I've made. So I'm going to click on that just now and just show you what that looks like. This is your one-stop resource hub, if you like. The only bit you don't need to really worry about personally in school, this is more for Pam and the team centrally, is the deployment guides. You don't have to do deployment school by school basis, so you can ignore that wee bit. Your first one you probably want to look at is our monthly on-demand webinars. That's an easy thing to sign up for. If you see a topic's come up and it's not really relevant to you, that's fine, but they're very short. They're maybe 10 to 15-minute webinars that you can watch on demand at your own pace. So they're quite good for just keeping your knowledge fresh. Home use resources here for parents and carers, because with your Renfrewshire details, the children can log in at home and use Read and Write at home. So to support, we've got our Use and Read and Write at Home guide, and we've also got a wee home use webinar for parents too, just so they can watch that at their own pace and figure out how to support their child with it. But moving further down, you can choose what platform you want to look at. So if you're in Read and Write for Google Chrome, we've got staff resources, pupil resources. So these are resources here to train your kids, so you actually don't have to. It's there, it's designed to make life easier for you. We bite-sized videos teaching about the different tools. For Google Chrome, I do have a lesson format, if you'd rather do it that way. I did get a good piece of feedback that this was able to be left for a supply teacher one day and the kids left trained. So if someone can come into your class, all of a sudden put it on their screen and just click play, that shows that it's zero prep. Read and Write for Windows, again, we've got staff resources, pupil resources, Read and Write for iPad, again, the deployment support, that's for central. Staff resources, pupil resources, and my email address is there if you need any support. So that looks really overwhelming, but once you dig down into what platform is it I want to look at, it's actually not, it's not too much. But popping back to my slides, just leaving my email address there, anything at all, no questions too small, please reach out. And I've left 5 minutes for questions, which isn't as much as I wanted, so I'm so sorry. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat or unmute your mic. But just wanted to say thank you so much for having me today. I hope it was beneficial, and I'm looking forward to planning some more in-depth sessions for each platform. Thanks so much.